Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and we're going to do another Asian movie collection addendum video. So I got a batch of films here that I purchased throughout the year, and we're going to go through them. We got some Korean films, some Japanese films, and some Hong Kong movies here tonight. And you'll see they're kind of themed, they're in batches. And I may have to resort to my notes here a little bit more than usual, because actually a few of these films I have not seen in a long time, which is kind of different from what I usually do, because I'm usually telling you to, go see my review on this channel, but some of these I have not reviewed, at least not yet. So we're going to start with a Korean batch. Now there's 6 Korean films I have here, and this is definitely a blast from the past. All these films were from the 2000s, and even some of them I think are a little bit on the obscure side. So let's go through them. A Good Lawyer's Wife. Yes, A Good Lawyer's Wife. Now this one I remember being quite good back in the day. This was from 2003. It's kind of a romance drama. Now let me check out the plot synopsis here. After learning of her husband's infidelity, the wife of a lawyer sets her eyes on a teenage neighbor. This is another one of those genre-bending Korean films, and you got the romance, you got the drama, but you also have a little bit of comedy, even a little bit of suspense at times as well. Fairly significant amount of explicit sexual content, I guess you could say, but it's a very engaging film, and it's far more charming than you might expect as well, given what I just said. In fact, some of the rendezvous between these characters is quite amusing, and there are a few genuine, intense, dramatic moments. So this is actually quite a unique film. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it, and I may have to do a review of it at some point in the future. But I definitely look forward to rewatching this. This is a 2-disc Region 3 release with English subtitles. I got this used on eBay. Alright, this next one is Hello Schoolgirl. Hello Schoolgirl. One of those actors should look familiar to you. That's Ji Tae-yoo and then Yoon-hee Lee are the leads. Now the premise of this one you might think is a little bit inappropriate. You have like a guy who's like, I think in his late 20s or possibly 30, who befriends an 18-year-old girl, and there may or may not be future romantic developments between them. So I know it sounds a little dicey, but I think this film is actually really good. It has it's a romantic comedy from 2008, and it's kind of different from a typical commercial romantic comedy because it focuses on a lot of like everyday living type moments, and it's very realistic as well. There's really no wackiness to the film at all, and the dialogue is quite downplayed and very natural. Ji Tae-yoo is good in the lead role, but I do think the actress Yoon-hee Lee kind of steals the show. Pretty fantastic performance by her in this. Camera work is quite nice. It's just a very pleasant film, I guess I would say. You know what I mean? Back in the day when South Korea was really kind of dominating the rom-com genre. So yes, this one is also the Region 3 DVD with English subs. And there are some special features, but it looks like commentaries, but I don't think those have English subs for those. So yes, this is another one I would recommend. And again, I haven't seen these films in so long, these Korean films. I'm going to have to do like a marathon because I'm really kind of excited to check them out. Again. Here's another oddball one. Another Region 3 release. 2-disc edition with English subs. To Catch a Virgin Ghost. To Catch a Virgin Ghost. Let me look up my notes. Where is this here? Now this one, from what I remember, is another genre bender. That it's also called Sicily 2KM from 2004. This one's like a thriller comedy, kind of horror movie. A group of gangsters follow a traitor to a desolate village in an effort to retrieve stolen diamonds. They encounter some suspicious locals and a restless spirit. You know, trying to predict this movie's kind of difficult going into it. It's a bit unpredictable and interesting. A lot of the characters don't really have protagonist or antagonist labels going into the film, which makes it, again, quite oddball in spots. You know, it doesn't like draw a line who are the protagonists or the antagonists, from what I remember. And you kind of feel different about them as the story progresses. Humor's mostly laid back and quite effective. Yeah, it's pretty neat. This is another neat one, To Catch a Virgin Ghost. Again, I might have to do a review of most of these, like separate reviews or something, when I watch it again. Is this the lead actor? I might have to look this up real quick. This lead actor here. Actually, the supporting actor. This guy in the back. I just saw him in something. Is it the same guy? Yeah, it is. I'm rewatching Gourmet, and this is the same guy from Gourmet. Like the troublesome, not the troublesome, but kind of the. Well, he's not really a douchebag either in that show, but he's the older brother character. So I completely forgot he was in this. So coming off of Gourmet and going into this, it'll be interesting seeing him in this role. So man, yeah. Another Region 3 release. This one I got used again off of eBay, and it's kind of in dicey shape. I got it really cheap. So it's kind of like, you could tell like the slipcase is kind of, I tried to correct it, but it's just kind of off. But this is Ghost House from 2004, I believe. And this one, you basically have a dude who, you know, is in this house, and a troublesome ghost girl lives there. All right, this is more of like a comedy horror flick from 2004. And you basically have inconveniences like flying teddy bears, an Onryo stripper. I think she actually pole dances at one point. She doesn't really strip per se. This is it's more lighthearted than I make it out to be. But she does dance, I think, on a pole in Onryo ghost form, which is quite amusing. And all kinds of shenanigans going on in this house. There's a very angry couch also at one point that's quite interesting. The protagonist in this one, maybe a little bit too whiny for me personally. I think he's a bit too whiny throughout the film, but still, he's still quite nutty and likable. And he does settle down quite a bit during the second half. But this dude just keeps getting harassed by this ghost girl. And she's actually very charming when you get to know her. But this is an oddball flick for sure. And the story keeps things fresh because it moves towards I don't even want to tell you what it does. But it again, this one, hard to predict where it's going. You know, it's not just a dude going into a haunted house. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. Look out for the chickens as well. So, yeah, Ghost House I remember being pretty neat. So I look forward to watching this as well. Again, Region 3 English subtitle release. And all of these films are kind of tough to find nowadays. So if you can't find them on eBay or somewhere online, I would say most of these are recommendable for sure. Here's another very obscure one. Fun Movie, it's called. So it almost reminds you of those parody films that the U.S. were making back in the day. And this is way better than those. You know what I mean? Whatever has I did like a few of the Scary Movie films, but when you have I even forgot some of those the real low grade ones that came out after Scary Movie came out. So this is basically much better than a lot of those, but it's the Korean type of parody film. You know what I mean? And it parodies 24 Korean films that were released from the mid 90s to the early 2000s, since this came out in the early 2000s. So I would say you definitely need to watch Shiri. If you're going to watch this, you have to watch Shiri. because that's where a lot of the main plot comes from. And then the rest of it is just the fun of spotting the references. Now, again, last time I watched this was in like 2006, where I was really fresh on the 90s, early 2000s Korean cinema scene. So coming back to this now, in 2020, I can imagine that some of these references are going to be pretty dated, and I might not even remember a lot of them. However, there's a website called lovehkfilm.com, and they usually review Hong Kong movies, but they also did a review of this film, fun movie, and they list out like a bunch of the movies that this movie references. So I haven't referenced that list in a long time, so I'm going to, as I'm going through the film, I'll probably have a pen and paper, I'll jot down, oh, that's from this movie or this movie, and just see how many I can get. Again, 2-disc Region 3 English subtitled release. But yeah, I remember this one being pretty neat. Let me check if there's any other notes I have for it. Yeah, this is a 2002 film. Its humor's a bit silly, but it does have some amusing sequences and references. So it's, it's going to be kind of like a, what do they call it? Nostalgic trip, probably. And then our final Korean purchase, another, older one. It's an older horror film, and I actually remember not liking it back in the day, but I always wanted to give it another chance. And I'm trying to remember if I watched it before going through my Asian horror playlist with it. So I covered this in the 2000 video. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but this is Nightmare from 2000, the Korean film, not to be confused with the Chinese films that came after. Yeah, and this one, it's basically a decent storyline from what I remember, but it just didn't pop enough to be really recommendable to people. I felt like the horror elements are kind of bland. There's a few good killings as well, but there's something about this where it shifts to like a human antagonist that kind of is not as interesting as the ghost stuff. But I just, I saw it on eBay. This one was actually fairly cheap. So I'm like, you know what? I'll give it another chance. Let me look up the storyline real quick, because there has to be, there's got to be a plot synopsis. Nightmare. Yeah, this has got to be it. So, a psychology major preparing for her graduate school exam receives a surprise visit from her college classmate, who's being tormented by someone who is chasing her. So you're dealing with a bunch of high-end school kids who are in the in crowd. This almost sounds like a I Know What You Did Last Summer type premise for this, but we'll see. I'll rewatch it. If I feel like doing a review, I'll do it. Again, Region 3 release. I don't know. Those 6 movies I'm really, really excited to revisit. You know what I mean? Because I remember those are films that I definitely will like probably even more after years gone by. So now we have Japanese. We got 3 batches of Japanese stuff. We got some crazy horror comedies, action flicks. We got some kind of oddball detective films, and then a particular actor. And then we'll move into the Hong Kong stuff. So, we got Dead Sushi. Oh yeah. Now you can tell the next few films, this will tell you what type of films I bought. This is the Region 1 Blu-ray, I believe, with English subs. And again, all the special features on the Korean stuff aren't subtitled, so it doesn't matter. Now, you basically have this actress here who I really like, and I sometimes get her name wrong, Rina Takeda. And what she goes to work, she's like a sushi chef, and she goes to work at a resort inn, that type of thing. And a bunch of customers show up, or a bunch of jerks. She has to deal with them, and then a toxic chemical is released that spreads into the fish, and the fish start killing them. The pieces of sushi come alive and attack people, and then after it attacks people, they become zombies. So this is what we're dealing with here. And the director, I want to make sure I get this right here, is, where is it? I always get confused which special effects and makeup is Nobuhiro Nishimura, but I don't think Nobuo Iguchi directed it, and that's why I get confused, because a lot of times they work on the same projects, so, yeah, this movie's pretty amusing. If you like schlocky B-grade, like Machine Girl, Tokyo Gore Police, it's not quite as good as those, but it's one of the better ones, in my opinion, because it has so much. This actress has such a charming nature about her, and she is a multi-level karate expert in real life. And she whips out a few karate moves here and there, but it's mostly for her performance in this one. That's really neat. Special features are a making of featurette, world premiere stage greeting, dead sushi trailer, an extreme sushi eating contest. I haven't seen that part. Fantasia Film Festival interview, etc. So, yeah, it's worth checking out if you want to delve into these. Obviously, the big ones are the Machine Girl and Tokyo Gore Police from 2008. And then, these subsequent ones that I bought, some of them are definitely worth checking out. Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl. Yeah, this was actually a movie. And, again, you got Yoshihiro Nishimura, but this time I believe he directed this one. And it's, this is a crazed response to both Twilight and Let the Right One In. Not quite sure I agree with that comparison, but it overwhelms the viewer in its sheer dementia. High school student Mizushima receives Valentine's Day chocolates from a new student, Monami. Little does he know that the chocolates contain traces of Monami's vampire blood. He gets infected from eating them, and Monami confesses that she wants to live with him forever as vampires. Well, that is Twilight-y, kind of, right? Keiko, Mishimura's girlfriend, sees the two kissing and in a jealous rage attempts to throw her off the roof, but instead falls to her death. However, her mad scientist father, Kenji Furano, resurrects her as Frankenstein Girl. Yeah, this is an actual film. Now, the first time I saw this film, I was kind of iffy on it, because it's like a romantic comedy with a schlocky horror action vibe. Very genre-bending. But, after I watched it a second time, I liked it a lot more. So I'm looking forward to watching it for the third time, like years later. You have a making of, release day, stage greetings with the stars and directors. The only thing about this is there's a few jokes in here that are kind of offensive to certain groups of people, and I did not find them funny jokes, so they're not like offensive but funny. So there are a few jokes in this that don't land, but I do think most of them do. So, yeah, again, I look forward to revisiting this one. Mutant, Girls Squad. Again, all these films are from the same, group of filmmakers here. So this one, you could tell you got some body horror, comedy type stuff going on here. This is the US Blu-ray. Unleash the Freaks. Rin is a seemingly normal Japanese high school girl, but on her 16th birthday, everything in her life changes when government special forces break into her home. After witnessing her mother's face blown into bits and her father's severed head falling into her birthday cake, Rin's dormant mutant abilities are awakened. So I don't even remember a lot of this film's details, but if that's the reason why she turns into a mutant girl, that's pretty freaking hilarious. It's not even like an experiment or anything. So yes, and you're dealing with this group of mutant girls, obviously Mutant Girls Squad, right? And they fight evil things, evil bad guys. So you get opening day interviews, making ofs, spin-off short film, and some trailers. I remember this one again, kind of like Dead Sushi being one of the more entertaining films of this kind. I call them the J. Gore films, I guess, but the gore comedies, really, and action as well. So again, this is schlocky, B-grade nonsense. But if you're into that type of thing, check this out. And again, here's another one that I remember being one of the better ones. You know what I mean? So, Gothic Lolita Psycho. Look at that. Yuki once led a peaceful life with her loving parents, but her family's happiness was taken away suddenly one day by a group wearing black cloaks. Her father lost the ability to walk, and her mother was massacred. These all have like similar setups. Yuki, the only one to escape the violence, was left with unanswered questions and profound sorrow. But the sadness soon turned into a smoldering anger and a burning resolve to get to the bottom of the mystery. Fashioning herself into an elegant demon of vengeance, Yuki sets off wearing her jet black Gothic Lolita dress in search of payback for her mother's death. So I remember this one actually being pretty cool. It's got some pretty good action scenes in it, but this probably is the best action out of all the films that I'm covering here tonight. From what I remember. Again, I have to emphasize that. My memories on these, a lot of these came out like 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. So it's a little hazy, but I remember these being pretty neat and fun. So, again, this is the Region 1 DVD, the Tokyo Shock DVD. So again, all 4 of these I might review in separate videos, or maybe do one compilation video for these types of films. I'll figure it out. But again, I very much look forward to rewatching these. So I have a lot of watching I gotta do. Alright, so our next set of films. There was a series, a franchise of films based on a particular detective, Mike Hama. In America, he's known as Mike Yokohama. Kind of a play on words there. And to my knowledge, there were 4 theatrical films that were released. Well, not even theatrical, just 4 films, I believe, that the Japanese made surrounding this guy. The first 3 were directed by the same man, Kaizo Hayashi, who is in desperate need of more releases for his stuff. Like, his stuff is... If you're looking for a Japanese director who flies under the radar, who's really interesting, Kaizo Hayashi is a good bet. You know, if you could find his stuff. Because nowadays, a lot of them are tough to find. All 3 of these, I think, are still... Or 3 or 4 of these are still in circulation that I'm going to cover tonight. But, you know, if you ever find a film directed by Kaizo Hayashi, watch it. Because it's a very unique experience. So the first film in the Mike Yokohama franchise is The Most Terrible Time in My Life. Now this is kind of an homage to the... What do you call them? This is crazy. I can't believe I can't remember. The noir films from like the 40s and 50s and stuff. So Detective Mike Hama navigates the Yokohama underworld with razor-sharp threads. And, but when it comes to the aid of he comes to an aid of a Taiwanese waiter at a local mahjong parlor. The unflappable Hama has an idea for what he's in for here. You know, so he gets his finger cut off in the scuffle, and he starts investigating like these. He basically gets caught between the Taiwanese gang in this Japanese urban city, and then the Yakuza, and he gets caught between them. So this is like a old school, shot in black and white, even though it was made in the 90s, noir mystery type film, right? Thriller. And, you get the detective, gets in way over his head, you know what I mean? And he's just trying to, like, figure what's going on and just survive it. So that's what you got with this. And it's a pretty neat movie. Definitely a Japanese film from the 90s that you should check out if you haven't. And the lead actor, who I always forget his name, Masatoshi Nagase, is solid. He's in all 4 of these films that I purchased here. And you also get Shinya Tsukamoto in a side cameo role. So, yes, this is a good one. The Most Terrible Time in My Life. Then the second film, again from the 90s, The Stairway to the Distant Past. We have the same actor returning, and Kaizo Hayashi directing again. This one, it's actually kind of difficult to describe the plot in this one. Kind of similar, not quite as good as the first film. In fact, this one's probably my least favorite of the 4 films, but it's still pretty good. The thing with this one is that it's almost like Hayashi went for more atmosphere than focus on plot with this one. It looks fantastic, and there's a lot of atmosphere in it, and the lead actor's really good. I just felt like the story didn't grab me as much as the first film, or even the third or fourth films. So again, this is worth checking out. Again, these are Region 1 releases that I'm doing for these. And for all of these, you get basically the same special features. You get trailers for the Mike Yokohama films, stills galleries, profiles. Not really a whole lot, you know what I mean? But, if you watch the other 3, you may as well watch this one too, even though it's my least favorite of the bunch. Now here's one, and a film I actually reviewed on my channel in a separate video. The Trap. Again, Kaizo Hayashi directed it. Check out my review of this. It's my favorite of these 4 films. I think it's really cool. You basically got this guy, again, same actor, and you can watch these in any order. They don't flow in like one chronological storyline, so you can watch them in any order. I would start with The Trap or The Most Terrible Time of My Life, because they're probably 2 of the ones that are easier to get into. But again, these are kind of weird films too. Like, they're not just like generic detective flicks, even though they're kind of homages to the noir stuff. But this one is weird. Like, he's going after us, basically a family of murderers. And like the main bad guy, he like injects women with a syringe of drugs and then drags them back to his home where his family lives. So and they're all kind of in on it together. Very it gets a little bit creepy at times, but I think it's a really engaging film. So again, check out my my review of it on my channel. The Trap. It's my favorite of the bunch. And same type of special features. Again, Region 1 release. I think you can find the Region 1 releases fairly easily still for these. I think. And then finally, we have Mike Yokohama, A Forest with No Name. Now this one was directed by Shinji Aoyama, I believe, instead of Kaizo Hayashi. Now, Aoyama is a director who, if you were following message boards back in the 2000s, you would have heard of him, because his best film, Eureka, was kind of a film festival darling back in the day. And his subsequent works haven't gotten as much attention. He has done some good stuff, though. And I think this movie's pretty cool. In this one, you have the lead actor returning. He goes out in the wilderness, like a desolate, I don't know what you would call it, mental health facility, but it's like the hideout, or like the base of operations for a cult who are brainwashing people, and some bad stuff's happening. So he's going in there to retrieve a girl for his client, like his daughter or something. He's trying to get her out. And again, this movie's very weird. This one's a weird one. It's probably weirder than some of the others, to be perfectly honest. But it kind of has that hypnotic, like mesmerizing effect on you when you watch it. It's kind of like calming and relaxing, but kind of weird and atmospheric. So if you want something that's a little bit even weirder than the other films, check out this one. It's got like that chilly atmosphere. It's set in the winter months. So yeah, I like this one. No special features. All right. Our final section for Japanese films, then we'll move to the Hong Kong stuff. Now, I have to preface this, all right, by saying that, some moviegoers out there, when you're dealing with an actor or a director who passes away early, like prematurely, at a very young age, some people have a problem with revisiting their works because they can't get around the fact that their life was tragic, right? I'm kind of the opposite. You know what I mean? When something bad happens, and you'll know who I'm talking about in a minute. When something bad happens, I I almost feel like I want to explore what they left us, in terms of their entertainment, their filmography, right? And I actually like to explore it even more than I have already. For some reason. I don't know why I'm like that. So, I picked up 3 movies and 2 television series with Yuko Takeuchi. And the first one here is Cheap Flight. Cheap Flight. So obviously Yuko Takeuchi recently passed away this year. I think she was like 40 years old, which is pretty terrible. But this film is, I haven't seen it yet, but it's a made-for-television film about Yuko, who goes from like a big airline to a small startup airline, and they have a really bizarre type of customer service strategy, and she's got to deal with it while training all these other girls to be flight attendants. So it's I'm kind of looking forward to this. It looks pretty lighthearted. I can almost kind of tell. I think I saw a clip of it or something at one point. It's kind of like the typical TV type film where maybe the plot will be pretty generic, but with Yuko in the lead role, and you got Raina Trendle from Tag. If you've seen the Shion Sona film Tag, there's Raina Trendle there, the lead actress. She's in this as well, so that kind of drew me to this. So I'm just looking for like a nice little amusing, hour and a half of entertainment from this one. So we'll see if that one could come through. Then the next 3 items are in the same franchise. Let me pull up my notes on this one. I saw one of these already. So there's a franchise in Japan called Strawberry Night. And they all have Yuko Takeuchi in them. There was a made-for-television film, a television series, and a theatrical film, to my knowledge. And there may have been more spin-offs, but those are the basics. So in this one, and I had to track this one down because it was tough to find, I got the made-for-TV film, Strawberry Night. Now this is kind of like detective. Each release has a different story from what I can tell. So in this one, Reiko Himekawa, played by Yuko Takeuchi, is a female detective at a metropolitan police department. Reiko doesn't come from an elite background, but she has risen fast through the ranks with hard work. Reiko then becomes involved in a murder case named Strawberry Night due to the mysterious use of those words surrounding the case. So I have not seen the TV version, and it was kind of confusing to sort all this out. I'm like, didn't I see Strawberry Night like 4 or 5 years ago? I'm like, well, which one did I see? And I had to kind of do research. So I look forward to watching the TV version. And this is a region... Oh, it's an all region with subtitles. And I got this off of playtechasia.com. It was like the only place that had it. But I wanted to complete the franchise. So if it's good enough, maybe I'll do a review of it with Cheap Flight. Then we have the TV show Strawberry Night, which I have not seen. Alright, so I guess the TV movie was popular enough that they did a TV show with the same actress. And let's see what this one's about here. She's, of course, on the investigation team. You get some subordinates she's dealing with. Although Reiko has personal problems and past trauma, she does not bring this to the workplace. She tackles cases head-on and closes in on the truth with her sharp instincts. So, but with Yuko in the lead role, usually this will elevate. It'll be elevated above generic detective series. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to this because I did see the theatrical film and it was quite good. So I have fairly high expectations for the television show. Then we get the theatrical film, which came after. And this is the one that I have seen 4 or 5 years ago. So let me go to my notes here, since they'll probably be more reliable. It's a crime drama from 2012. So actually, I probably saw it more like 7 or 8 years ago. An aggressive police woman, played by Yuko, investigates a homicide involving the murder of a gang member. The police assume that the motive is related to gang disputes, but evidence is lacking and the case is deadlocked. And then she tries to crack it. So, I guess, the details escape me a little bit from when I saw it, but apparently I think a lot of the characters were quite multidimensional and intriguing. So I'm kind of looking forward to revisiting this as well. So yeah, I have the, at least the main releases of the Strawberry Night franchise. So I'm going to watch them in chronological order. And maybe I'll do a review. Excuse me. And then one more here. With Yuko. A little loose in there. Miss Sherlock. So I can only assume it's kind of a Lady Sherlock Holmes show. So Miss Sherlock depicts consulting detective Sarah Sherlock, also known as Shelly Futaba, played by Yuko Takeuchi, solving various mysteries in modern-day Tokyo. And she's assisted by her flatmate, a doctor, who has recently returned from volunteering medical aid in Syria. That's kind of interesting. So it depicts a variety of crimes and perpetrators, and she must deal with a secret organization who is behind some of the crimes they solve. So this is just, Yuko doing the detective thing again. So hopefully it's pretty cool. I don't know, we'll have to see. But again, I look forward to, like I said, this is going to be probably early next year. I'm going to go on a Yuko Takeuchi marathon of stuff. It'll take me a few weeks to get through all of this because there's 2 TV shows. But, I kind of look forward to it. Unfortunately, she's not with us anymore, but at least I can kind of, enjoy her, legacy, I guess you could call it. And then we move from that, kind of a slightly bittersweet section of this video to another slightly bittersweet section of this video. Because I bought a bunch of Benny Chan movies. Of course I did. How could I not? And Benny Chan also passed away a few months ago. It is a horrible year. Just terrible. For some big-time, notable directors and actors that passed away this year from the Asian film scene, right? So, I just recently did a Benny Chan filmography review with Harris Dang. And in order to do that, I had to prepare for it and re-watch some of Benny's films that I haven't seen in a while. And maybe watch a few that I just haven't seen at all. So I'm going to whip through these pretty quick. This is the last section of the video. Because you could just look, just watch the Benny Chan filmography review for my thoughts and Harris's thoughts on basically all of these. So we have Man Wanted with Simon Yam and Yu Rung Wang. I thought this one was a pretty good flick, pretty good crime action thriller. It just didn't elevate to like classic Benny Chan status. It was just missing a little something. You got 2 very good actors here doing their thing, but I don't know, just didn't have that extra oomph to get it to like a really good film status where I would really push on people. But hey, if you've seen a bunch of Benny Chan's films and you want to check this one out, it's pretty good. All right, but it's not a high priority for those of you who are unfamiliar with the director. The fairly notorious... Well, hold on here. No special features on that. All the Yuko Takeuchi stuff, there's really no special features. This one there is, which reminded me of it. Gen Y Cops. And all of these Benny Chan releases are basically the Region 1 releases, American releases with subs. So yeah, this one got a whole bunch of guys, right? You got Nicholas Che, Stephen Funk, Sam Lee, Grace Ip, Eric Singh, Daniel Wu, Francis Ng. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it's, a rocket-fueled drama at its most arresting. It's an action flick, not really a drama. But Hong Kong police crack an underground ring of smugglers, seizing a massive shipment of explosives. But when the arms are recovered by Japan's public enemy number one, the countdown begins to a sale of the deadly contraband. And you got the Gen Y cops. Got to take the bad guys down. So if you want just like a fun freaking action movie, this is a good one. Fantastic cast. Special features, deleted scenes, making of, a music video. Oh, I haven't seen that. I should watch that. A teaser trailer, theatrical trailers. Yeah. So yeah, check out Gen X Cops. It's fun. And a movie I think is equally fun and infinitely more stupid is Gen Y Cops. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Jackie Chan, I think, produced both of these films, really had a hand in it. So in this one, you got Benny Chan directing. You got Paul Rudd with blonde hair in this movie. Stephen Fung, Sam Lee, Edison Chen. Maggie Q. If you're a fan of Maggie Q, she has a significant role in this as well. There you go right there. So yeah, this movie is... And you got Christy Chung as well. This movie's so unbelievably stupid. It's unbelievable. It's just so dumb. I mean, you get like this robot escapes, or somebody tries to steal the robot, and it starts blowing stuff up, and you got the cops that are clashing with the American cops that are in Hong Kong doing some type of robot festival. And you got these young guys, like, it's just watch the discussion that I have with Harris if you want details. But this movie's so stupid, but I like it more and more every time I watch it. There's just something. Benny Chan is a director. He's able to make stuff that just shouldn't work. And that's what this is. That's what it is. No special features. Movie's dumb, though. Here's one. Has more of a dramatic quality to it. It's Shaolin. Get Andy Lau, Nicholas Chan, Jackie Chan. Some other guys in here too. In the young Republic of China, where greedy warlords fuel a world of war and strife, Andy Lau arrogantly shows no mercy to his enemies, seeking refuge with the Shaolin monks. However, things go bad. Let's put it that way. And Nicholas Che becomes a problem, and it goes from there. I don't want to tell you too much. But this is actually pretty solid drama action flick. It's pretty solid. I think it's a pretty good quality film. So check out Shaolin if you haven't already. I think it's a good Benny Chan flick. This is one that didn't quite hold up as well as I remember. The White Storm. You got Louis Koo, Nick Chung, and Lau Ching Wan. And it's almost like a crime film, an undercover film, and like a revenge film kind of lumped together. It's got some good action in it. Runtime is too long. It's too long of a runtime. But it's still pretty good. It's still a pretty good flick. You got... No, there's no special features on this. Yeah. But, again, check out my discussion with Harris if you want more info. And again, all of these are the Region 1 releases. Connected. The Hong Kong remake of Cellular. Yes, Hong Kong did a remake of Cellular, and this is better than Cellular. Get Louis Koo, Barbie Sue, Nick Chung, Yi Lu. This has got a good cast too. And this is the one where, if you know the plot of Cellular, that's what this is. You get a woman who's like kidnapped. She's able to somehow make a phone call to one number because the phone's broken, and Louis Koo answers. And he tries to save her life. She convinces him to try to save her life. And it goes from there. This got a lot of good suspense action in it. It's briskly paced, fun to watch, lots of collateral damage. And, it's one where the pacing is so brisk, it'll keep you engaged. Get Louis Koo sweating up a storm. It's a good flick. I'll watch this one very frequently. It's kind of like Gen Y Cops, Gen X Cops. Call of Heroes. Again, almost every one of Benny Chan's films has a loaded cast. You get Lau Ching-wan, Louis Koo, Eddie Peng, Wu Jing is in this one too. And Wu Jing was in Invisible Target as well, which I recently reviewed, right? So yes, you get legendary action director. Actually, Sammo Hung directs some of the action in this. And Benny Chan directs. And Louis Koo plays just a total slime ball. He kills people in this village. The villagers riot. They grab him. They try him. They say, we're going to execute him. The problem is that Louis Koo has an army of bad boys out, in his own fort area. So if they don't give him back, if they decide to go through and execute Louis Koo for his horrendous crimes, they're going to be at war with his faction who's going to come for revenge. So that's kind of the whole basis for the film. Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool flick. It's got pretty good script to it. The action, again. I mean, this is like older school type action, almost like Shaolin, where you'll have, it's set in the past. And you got lots of like weaponry, some whips and stuff like that. And it's pretty. This is another good one. This is one of Benny Chan's better ones from the last decade. Call of Heroes. And then finally, I end this video with a VCD. I'm not even joking. I could not find this movie anywhere else. And I had to watch, or I wanted to watch as many Benny Chan films as I possibly could. And this was one that I hadn't even seen before. So I had to bite the bullet, buy the English subtitled VCD from Yes Asia. Happy Hour. So you see Jordan Chan is in this and a few other guys, and Lau Ching-wan is his lawyer. Well, why does Jordan Chan need a lawyer in this movie? Well, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, watch my discussion with Harris, the Benny Chan filmography review video I just posted recently. I tell you what the plot is to this, and it is a very inappropriate, potentially offensive plot. But I thought it was a pretty good flick. It had enough maturity to it to be not as insulting as it could have been. But it's one of those old school, like Hong Kong drama comedies that's just inappropriate. You know what I mean? And like no one would ever make a film like this nowadays. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll whet your palate. You can go, if you haven't seen my discussion with Harris on Benny Chan, watch it. But this VCD, people, I bought a VCD in the year 2020. You could take your Blu-rays and your high def stuff and stick it. I'll stick with my VCDs. Well, I'm sure if that had a good Blu-ray release, I probably would have preferred the Blu-ray release. Let's be honest. But that's funny. I bought a VCD. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. It was cheap, obviously, but I got to watch the film. So yeah, that's a pretty solid haul video, I think. And I'm gonna Yuko and Benny, man. I'm gonna miss both of you. It stinks because Yuko had a lot of projects left her. She was only 40, and Benny Chan was only like in his late 50s or something. It's like, man. Stinks, but they left us a lot of good, entertaining stuff. We could celebrate their lives with the entertainment they've left us. So that's good. And I'm gonna have to do a few more of these videos probably in the next few months because I got a lot more, that I'm catching up on for my hauls. So we'll do that. And I gotta do a channel update video as well in the near future. So a lot coming at you. And as always, I'll see you next time.